So you've been waiting for it, and now here it is, guys. I'm bringing you how to breed your ball python step by step. Now, whether you choose to breed them or not, that's up to you, but you won't be able to say that you did not know. Hey, how's it going, guys? Paul with Spheric Reptiles. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, I thank you. If you're returning, hey, I thank you as well. Lately, we've been getting a lot of comments about the things that we're doing, and it's been good. It's been helpful for some, but then I've also gotten some feedback from people that just shows me how much more I have to learn. But as usual, I'm putting it all out there. And so in this video, we're covering step by step, or basically breeding ball pythons 101, the complete guide, whatever you want to call it, on identification of when they're ready, all the way to when the eggs come out the incubator and you got to cut them open. So I'm hoping that this video proves helpful for anybody that's choosing to go through this journey of breeding ball pythons, because I think it's good to have a place or a video that you can refer back to when you're actually going through it. Like, so if you got to go and search for bits and pieces, then it's kind of frustrating, right? And that's one of the things that I face. And so basically, like I always say in these videos, I'm putting out there the things that I went through that were aggravating to me. And I don't like being aggravated about anything that I enjoy, especially these beautiful animals that we call ball pythons. They're not locale specific, they're morph specific, 8,000 plus morphs. But in all seriousness, as you choose to go through this journey, whether you choose to or not, that's up to you. I like to put that out there because this is a choice that we make in caring for these animals and producing these animals, but whatever. So, but as you choose to go through this, I just want you to have the information from a source. And now I want you to proof source this and check it against other sources like Gavin Balls to You. So there's a lot of information out there, but hopefully this will cover all of the steps. So, hey guys, if you like this content afterwards, please give me a like and subscribe. I never really asked for stuff like that, but I feel like I should because I'm hoping that I'm helping you. So if I earn the right to get that, please give it to me. So what I'm gonna start out with is basically the different sizes of ball pythons. And I'm gonna try to run through all of this really quick. So this is number one, ball python sizes. It's crazy, right? So this is a hatchling, and this is Hickory. And Hickory is the leopard that's double heifer lavender and pied. And you can see just the leopard there. We had her genetic tested for lavender and pied. And the leopard, I just want you guys to know that leopard does do some crazy stuff to the belly. So if you're breeding leopard in confusion or leopard in acid, you're going to get those type of issues where it's harder to identify. So you will have to genetic test. I'm turning my screen around. So Hickory here is 74 grams. And I got other animals that I'm pulling out just to show you guys the differences as I move up. And the next snake I have is Nevada, and you can just see the size difference there. And Nevada is a Hispanum spot nose ivory, so super yellow belly, that's heifer clown, and she weighs 376 grams. So we got one snake here that weighs 74 grams, and then we got a juvenile, because this is a female, that weighs 376 grams. You can see the size difference there, right? It's just a huge difference. As I'm pulling out another snake here, I want you guys to just really notice the differences. So these are not ready. These are not sexually mature. So now I'm going to pull out Twix. So Twix, as I put her to the side of them, Twix is a spot nose clown. You can see from the head. We haven't had her genetic tested for yellow belly, but you can see the size difference here as we go from Hickory to Nevada to Twix. And Twix is 852 grams. Look at the size difference, guys. This is all within like a year and a half of each other. So, I mean, it's just, this is the progression. So we got the hatchling, we got the juvenile, and we got the subadult. Now I have an adult. So I'll put the adult right up here on top so you can actually see the size difference. And this is Nicki Minaj. And Nicki Minaj is an acid orange dream yellow belly. She's not heifer or anything. I mean, they won't crush each other, but you can see the size difference as we go from the hatchling to the juvenile to the subadult. And then we got Nicki Minaj here that is 1,850 grams. So you can see the big difference in sizes for all of these animals, right? And so this is the one that we will be discussing. We will be discussing Nicki Minaj because she's the one that's sexually mature. She's the one that's got the good body weight. So in just going through the body weight and that discussion, when I put my hand around her, I can feel that she's nice and solid, right? She's nice and solid, even though she had a clutch of eggs earlier this year. I'm considering pairing her up at the beginning of next year. So she is one of the ones that's right on time for recovering her weight back and doing all those other things just to get ready. So right now she's sitting at around 10 millimeter follicles because we've been ultrasounding her and she's getting right up there. I can't move on anymore. I think this is going to be a good commercial. So I want you guys to know that ball python breeders just don't mess with ball python breeders only exclusively. Yesterday I was out at the Abilene Herp Show in Texas, and I'm doing, some market research, some demographic studies to see which shows that we would like to vend. And I ran into Dax. So Dax is one of the guys, and he's with DNT Retics, that I met early in my journey, right? So early in my snake journey when I returned, he was one of the first people I talked to. Of course, he breeds retics and he has some dwarf retics, but he doesn't breed ball python. So, and I still talk to him, but that's the thing, that I talk to a lot of people, but I do want to definitely thank him for the t-shirt. I got the last of the Big'em shirt, so I wore a 2X, and I got the last one. He had to dust it off and everything. I mean, it was crazy, but it was just good to talk to him and see what that other side of the market looks like for those retics and dwarf retics. And it's much the same as with ball pythons. Now I'm going to discuss males, and I'm going to show you the differences in them to make sure that they're ready to go so that they can pair up with a girl like Nikki. First one that I'll start off with is Candyman. And Candyman, so this is from our horror movie clutch. Candyman is an Orange Dream acid, and he's a hatchling. You see the size of my hands, he's very small, very, very small. But Candyman here is 76 grams. And again, he's an Orange Dream acid that is double het for Trugos or TSK and hypo. I'll leave him there, and hopefully he'll sit still. Hey, calm down. So if your ball pythons are acting funny, you can actually just take them and ball them up like so and calm them down. I mean, that's one of the good tricks. But if you're thinking about breeding, I think you already know this. And then when you sit them down, they should stay a little bit stiller. We'll see. So the next one that I'll grab out is Jupiter. As I'm walking around and trying to get these animals, man. I mean, it's incredible how everything works out when you're doing something like this. And so as I put them side by side, I got Jupiter here, who is a juvenile. And Jupiter is a gravel that is het for clown. So you can see the size difference there as they slither all over each other. Yeah, they're slithering. Jupiter is 410 grams. And again, he is a gravel that is het for clown, as I continue to show you guys. So neither one of these guys are ready. They're both very small. They are just eating. I'm trying to get them to gain weight. And so that's what we got going on there. So the next one that I'll grab is Texas. Texas, as you look at Texas, I mean, all of the snakes are really pretty, but Texas is a chocolate that's a DG hypo. So it's a chocolate DG hypo. And Texas is 692 grams. So I would consider Texas right on the edge of being a subadult. So I'm going to say that Candyman, who is kind of running around the circle, maybe someone said it 3 times in a mirror, he's going around investigating, smelling these other snakes like, where you guys been at? You know what I'm saying? And then we got Jupiter, who is a juvenile, and then we got Texas, that is the subadult. So remember the weight. So we had 76 grams, 410 grams, and 692 grams. So this last snake is one of the ones I want to pull up, and he's actually the father of Candyman. Sorry that he's in shed, guys, but this is Morpheus. And Morpheus is extremely in blue right now, but he is a Trugos or a TSK hypo, and I want to show you guys the difference. So Morpheus here is 1,102 grams. So this is his dad, right? So we bred Morpheus to Nicki Minaj, which you saw before, and we ended up with these babies. Now they are hets for him. So this is the size difference as he goes around them. He is a mature male that is a proven breeder, right? So you can see the difference in his health versus the health of Texas. Now, some people might choose to breed this size animal, and if they have sperm plugs, you can. But my thing is that if you tried to breed this animal versus this one, when he goes off of food, he has a greater risk of being emaciated. And now they're all just going everywhere, just like snakes, right? Slithering all over the place. But this is the size that I typically want to breed. And so he is on, just to let you guys know as you move into breeding, he is on 1 adult jumbo mouse a week right before breeding season so that I can make sure that he stays athletic. I don't want him too chunky. I'd rather have my females chunky if anybody's going to be chunky. Now we're going into the second part of breeding ball pythons, step by step or 101 or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to use another proven breeder female to just really stress what you should be looking for. I'm not going to show what you should not be looking for, but what you should be looking for in your animals right before you breed them. And this is an animal that if I choose to breed her, I could actually start tomorrow. So this is Lucy, and she is a pastel Huffman. She doesn't have any other incomplete dominant genes. I'll remove her water from here. And you can see just how thick she is. So I've gotten her primed up for breeding. What I typically do is I try to get the animals primed up and get them ready. And then I measure their follicles, and then I make a decision as to whether I am going to pair them up or not. So in the wild, I figured that during a certain time of the year, there's a bounty, there's food aplenty. So they're eating a lot of food anyway. And then as they go towards those other months where there just aren't as many prey items to eat, then they would stop eating anyway. So it's okay for me to have my animals gain a little weight during the summer months. And then if I don't pair them up, then as food goes away, then I taper them off food and I return them back to either 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or once a month, depending on their size and where I see their body condition. But in particular, I will use Lucy as an example. She's 2,244 grams, so she's really big. You can see just how thick she is around her body. She's already given us 2 clutches, and she always bounces back. She'll eat anything up to a medium-sized rat. But again, I feed her small rats when I'm getting her ready every week. And you can see just her head size, just how mature her head is compared to her body. So she doesn't have a small head. You can tell that her head is kind of proportional to her body for a ball python. She is right there. Like, I really couldn't feed her anymore to get her ready, because then she'd have some dimples or some fat marks in her spine and along the dorsal. But you can just see how big she is and how thick she is all the way. And so what I want to really stress to you guys is that when you're considering pairing up your ball pythons, this area right here, this length and this width, is where they will have all of their follicles and their eggs. And they actually have 2 strands of follicles that flow this way. So as one develops, the other one kind of holds back. And so when they have the eggs here, the other ones are on standby. But this is where the eggs are. So if you're trying to guess how many eggs an animal can have, then you look at that last third of the body, and that's basically going to tell you how many eggs that animal can have. And if it's a proven breeder, then you actually can say, well, this animal laid 11 eggs last year. So if you were to pair up, you could really realistically say she could lay 8 to 12 eggs instead of the 4 or 6. But I think when you're trying to look at clutch sizes, which I don't know if we should really even be concerned with clutch size. We should just be concerned with healthy babies. But that's one of the main things, if you are thinking about clutch size, is that if an animal starts off laying 4 eggs, then how many can they actually lay as a maximum? So if an animal gives you 4 eggs, then that animal might only be able to produce at most 8, but as little as 2. So it's got to be a range. So with her, I'm saying that with her giving us 2 11-egg clutches, which is one of the reasons why I really got to think about pairing her up. I'm not trying to make snake babies, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I want to really try to make something that moves me towards the reason why I got into this, and I hope you do too, into making something that's new and something that makes me or you say, wow, right? But this is a good example of an animal that is ready to go. Whew, it's hot in here, man. I say that all the time. It's hot in here, right? So now that I've shown you Lucy, and so you want a snake that's got good body weight. When you're thinking about pairing them up, you should not start with the male that's under 700 grams. Absolutely not. You really want those males closer to 800, maybe 900 grams athletic. You don't want them over 1,500, but let's face it, some animals are big. We do have a male that's a 3-time proven breeder that he's like 1,700 grams, but he's just like the Shaq version of all of them. And that's Bruce Wayne. And you've seen Bruce Wayne a lot. Here he is on the here Bruce Wayne is on the screen. He's really big, but he's very athletic. He is on 1 mouse a week, but he's well over 700 grams. So even if he stops eating, he should be fine. He has a long way to go before he gets truly emaciated. Now, if you're breeding females and you're considering pairing them up, I think this is the part that's really subjective, right? So in the wild, the animals don't come by and say, oh, you're 1,500 grams, you're ready to go. No, that female gives off pheromones, or she has a body conditioning where the male will actually try. Now, if he doesn't think that the animal's ready, or that she's not ready, then he won't even try. But in actuality, what we do here at Spheric Reptiles is around 1,300 grams, 1,350 grams. I start pairing them up. And if I notice that they're growing follicles and they increase their feedings, that lets me know that, and I see a lock, right? So we got to see a visual lock like you see on the screen. Once you see that and that animal starts exhibiting that increased feeding frenzy as she's growing those follicles from 10 millimeters to 45 millimeters, which by the way is when they are going through ovulation, then I know that that animal's ready, and I know that that female will get to about, over 1,500, possibly 1,600, 1,700 grams. They put on a lot of body weight, but it's mostly from the amount of eating that's transferred, that food source, the energy that's supplied to the eggs, and then she just retains the weight with the eggs. So at that point, it's important for you to get a weight. Go ahead and weigh her before you start doing it, and try to weigh her every month so that you can track it, so that if you don't have an ultrasound, that you can actually see, all right, so my animal's gaining every month. And so that's one of the ways you can do it without palpating, because I don't know how to palpate without crushing my snake. I just don't have those pressure sensors in my hand. It's either very, very soft or light, or very, very hard. Nothing in the middle. It's just like, that's what it is. It's either light or hard, man. But that's crazy. But so follicle size, guys. So they always start off at 10 millimeters, right? And let's just say that when they're going through their phases, they're going to increase those follicle size by 10 millimeters every month. So you pair them up the first month and they're at 10 millimeters, and you can see a pairing video on the screen. That lock is important. But even if you don't see the lock, record it. But within 1 month, she should be anywhere between 15 to 20 to 25 millimeters, depending on what you're feeding and how much of the food stuff, I keep saying food stuff, or the prey item that she's absorbing and transferring over to that follicle to develop it. Now, if you have an ultrasound, you can track this. But again, if you track the weight, you should see an increase in weight. Like, it'll be drastic. Like, it'll be at least 75 grams, right? It might even be up to 100 grams, depending on how much you feed and how much she's able to transfer. But you will also see, remember, during this phase, when she gets about 20 millimeters, that hunger drive is going to be crazy. I mean, she's going to be coming out she's going to be coming at you, man. So whenever you get ready, make sure you got your snake hook ready. This is the one time in which I think that you can throw all what you know out the window. You can get bit because she's hungry. She doesn't know anything else but hungry because you did it. You did it to her. You put that dude in there with her, and you're the one that made her that way. That's in the first 2 months. It might take 3, it might take 4. So the first time you pair up your females, you really got to record everything. And you got to record your male eating as well, because you don't want to emaciate your male and have your male die on you. I mean, I've heard of that. That's really extreme to me. I think that, yeah, since I'm talking about it, when you remove that male from when you pair them up, I would wash them off with some Dawn dish detergent to wash those pheromones off. And I covered it in this video right here once before. And then within the next 2 days, make sure that you're offering them a food item. And you want to make sure that that male continues to eat as well. So that's why leading up to the season, you want to make sure that your males are gaining weight too. Maybe not as much. They have to stay a little bit more athletic because a fat male snake doesn't want to work. When she is around 30 millimeters, that's when you'll notice that she goes off of food normally. So I'm going to say that's within the 3rd month. It might be 4 or 5 months, but let's say in the 3rd month, then around 30 millimeters, she goes off of food. She's like, I don't want it. Keep it away. Kick rocks. Whatever you want to do. Just get that food away from me. And during this time, she might still continue to lock. So I would say when she goes off of food, go ahead and put that male in there anyway, just to make sure, because that's the key moment that you really need that male in there and you want to get that lock. So speaking of that, you want to put that male in there when you pair them up for about 72 hours. I would say 72 hours is good. 2 or 3 days after they've had their meal, so that they're not regurgitating that meal, because this is a stressful thing as well. So that's what we've done, and we've been highly successful with it. We've already had 12 clutches laid this year in 2025. I think that might be our limit. But when it comes to that, remember, we started off at 10, and then we went to 20 where she had the hunger drive. And now at 30, she decides that maybe 30, 35, she decided she doesn't want food anymore. You continue to lock 10, 20, and 30, or you continue to pair. Now, In that 4th month, remember she's off of food, but she's still growing. She has the fat stores from, remember when I showed Lucy how her body weight was, her conditioning, I got her kind of plump for this next moment. So we're talking about ovulation now. Ovulation is around 45 millimeters. It can be a little bit less, it can be a little bit more, but around 45 millimeters, you'll see this female, she just looks huge. This is when she'll start cool seeking. So you don't need to pair the male up. Once she starts cool seeking, then his job is done. So, you know what I'm saying? After that first time she goes off of food, you pair up that next month, and it's no more nookie time for that male, right? No more fun, no more nothing. Get your ass in the tub and chill. So now you're just concerned with the female. The male, you just want him to keep eating, or even if he's not, he's okay because you're not pairing him up anymore. He will eventually get back on food. But that female, this is when you need to be recording the little things like, so when does she cool seek? Or cool seeking could be the cooler end of the cage, or she could, if you have a water dish big enough, she could actually get in there to cool. But the main thing is this is when the sperm from the male is transferring over to that follicle to actually, this is it. This is the moment of truth. This is ovulation. This is when the magic happens, the true magic happens. So at this time, she wants everything to be nice and cool, cooler than a 90-degree hot spot or 88-degree hot spot that you have her on or in. And she wants to make sure that that transfer is over because she's putting forth a lot of effort and energy in this process too. So during this time, record it and record how long it takes and mark that as beginning of ovulation, right? And so the next step would be the ovulation shed. So you already marked off when she did all this cool seeking, and then that very next shed should be the ovulation shed. That's interesting. Yeah, ovulation to ovulation shed. That is what you're looking for, right? How do I know if I got the ovulation shed? And I think this is another important thing, and this is all part of the process. You've done all your pairing. You've looked at them from hatchling to juvenile to subadult to adult, and the males and the females. And I'm talking with my hands because it's the way I was told that I talk. Now you've done all of your pairings, 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters, 30 millimeters, 45 millimeters. Now she went through ovulation. So prelay shed. This is how I knew that she had an ovulation shed in the very beginning, because in the beginning I couldn't really recognize, but in 14 to 21 days, she will shed again. So she has the ovulation shed, and then 14 to 21 days, she has another shed. And so that's something that ball pythons really don't do. You're not feeding her, so she shouldn't be shedding without that. So you know you can cut that part out if you're just trying to use deductive reasoning. And you also know that this is it. So that prelay shed is the one that you can start counting with. So with the prelay shed, after that, the next thing to come are eggs. If you've done everything right and you've made it commensurate for her to actually go through this whole process, and she does a job for you because you asked her to, and she did it. You fed her and did all this other stuff. So within 30 to 45 days, I'm going to say about 30 to 45 days, then you'll see eggs. So don't get frustrated in this. Go ahead and mark it on a calendar and say she could lay here or she could lay as late as here. So I would put that as an alert in your phone so that you actually know when to start looking. Because otherwise, you'll be looking in these tubs and disturbing them all the time. So that's important for you to do. So after the ovulation shed, 14 to 21 days later, it could be a month, but around that time when that next shed should be the prelay shed, and you'll be able to tell, because if you look on the screen here, you'll be able to see that this animal is very, very swollen, right? Very swollen. And the next thing she did was this is when she was going through ovulation. And then this is now she's went through prelay and everything. So now we're just waiting on her, Oprah, to lay her babies. I don't know why I named her Oprah, but at the time, it sounded good to me. She was an orange ring, black pastel, double head for clown pod. So I was like, Oprah. So, but then when you get those eggs, that's the best thing ever. And so as you see here on the screen, this is what the eggs look like from our last clutch. And I'm always so excited when I see the eggs. I mean, it's probably, if I had to rate things, and you be the judge of that, just seeing those eggs lets me know that I did it. Then you candle them and you do all this other stuff. And when you see the veins, it just really gives you a sense of accomplishment for helping these animals to do what they did. But you remember the time frames and the size and all. Don't forget any of that stuff because it's important. But when you see the eggs, it's like you basically baked the birthday cake and you lit the candles. You didn't blow them out yet because the eggs haven't came out yet. You haven't ate the cake. So anime, you can't eat the cake yet. But now comes the key thing. So you set up your egg box, which I have video here to explain how you can set your egg box up. But there's other ways to do it. This is just the way that we do it at Spheric Reptiles. You're going to put those eggs in the incubator, right? And you want that temperature from 88 degrees to about 90 degrees. So I would say in Celsius, what would that be? 31 to 32 degrees Celsius, I guess. So if I had to just say a number, I would say 31 degrees Celsius, because being too hot is detrimental, but being a little bit less, so at 31, you're around 88. So with that temperature, it might take a little bit longer, but in all reality, in nature, the weather fluctuates. So 55 to 60 days later, you should start seeing eggs pip if your incubator set up right. And I forgot to tell you, if your humidity levels are from 70 to 80%, inside the egg box itself, it needs to be 100% humid, but every 7 to 10 days, it's not a bad idea to air it out and let some clean, good air get in there and then seal it back up just to prevent mold. Because when you see your eggs are molding, because we had that issue with the clutch, that was what I figured that it was. There was no airflow around those eggs, even though the air was flowing around the box. It doesn't do any good if it's around the box and it's not on the egg. So about once a week, then you want to just lightly open that up without disturbing the eggs as little as you can. And then let some clean air in there, and that will make sure that your eggs don't get as moldy, right? But now, lo and behold, these eggs hatch. And on the screen, you see these hatchlings. And, you know, you can cut the eggs open or you can let them come out. But basically, that's it. That's what it takes. Now, the hatchling care, that's a totally separate issue that I've covered before. You can see this video right here where I talk about hatchling care. And in that video, I go a little bit more in depth. And I would like for you to compare what I say in this video to other videos that you might be able to see, because this is the part where I think a lot of new breeders struggle. It's not pairing up the animals. It's actually getting, like I said, these little monsters. These are our holdbacks here, and I'll have a separate video on that. But getting all of these little monsters on food, and it just so happens that, why do we have so many hatchlings? Because they were all hatched within the same time frame. These are already listed, and you see some are going through shed, but I really don't feel confident until they get over 150 grams or really 200 grams before I actually introduce them to a person. But for these, they were all hatched out at the same time. All of these were hatched out at the same time. These just came out last week. So I'm really trying to make sure that they get on food, because the last thing I want to do, and the last thing you should want to do, even for yourself or anybody else, is to hand them a snake that is not acclimated and eating on its own, right? So that is the challenge for you. I mean, selling the animals is a totally different challenge, but that's for everybody. But for you, your responsibility is, when it gets to this point, to make sure that before you hand this snake off, that it's feeding on its own. Like, if you say mice, it should be able to hit that mouse. Frozen thawed, if you say frozen thawed. Live, if you say live. So that when that person gets that animal and they've done their job and they've trusted the advice that you've given, that it does it, that it eats. I thank you so much for watching this video. If it proves helpful, please, if it proves helpful, I'm getting tongue-tied. Throat must be getting dry, talking too fucking much. Give me a like or subscribe, but definitely comment on this video and let me know how I'm doing here and giving you the information, and if it helps. And if nothing else, guys, please, please, please enjoy that time that you spend with your reptiles, and definitely cherish and love your family while you have them. I mean, truly do that. Thank you.